Don't you dare give up on this person. If you are seeing this right now, it's a sign. Don't give up on this person. I need you to hear that title again because it's not clickbait. It's not some line I throw up to get you to click, to get your attention. It's the exact thing you needed to hear today, at this hour, on this random day when you almost didn't even open this video. This isn't just a coincidence that you are watching this. It's a direct message for your soul. Because somewhere in your life right now, there is a person. Yeah, maybe it's your lover, maybe it's your brother or sister, sibling, maybe it's your best friend since 3rd grade, maybe it's your mom or your kid, or the co-worker who became more than like a family than half your actual family. And that person is going through something. Not a bad week, not a rough patch you can fix with a pep talk and a coffee run. Something deeper, something that's been building for months, maybe longer. And you have watched it happen in real time, piece by piece, and you felt that helpless feeling of standing on the shore, watching somebody you love get pulled out by a current they cannot even name. You know exactly who I'm talking about. I don't need to guess the details because you already have them loaded up in your head the second I said this person. I know your heart is heavy right now, and you feel like you have hit a dead end. Maybe it's the way they don't pick up the phone, the way they used to. Maybe it's the way their voice sounds flat loud now, even when they are trying to sound fine. Maybe it's the choice. Yeah, the ones that don't make sense, the ones that make you want to grab them by the shoulders and go, "What are you doing? Why would you do that? That's not you." And every time you bring it up, every single time, they cannot explain it. They shrug. They change the subject. They say, "I don't know, I don't know." And that's the most honest thing they have said in weeks, because they genuinely don't know. That's not an excuse. That's not them being lazy or selfish or difficult. That's a person who is lost inside their own head, and they don't have a map. And they are too proud or too scared or too exhausted to admit how lost they actually are. Here's what I want you to understand. And I want you to really sit with this instead of just nodding along and scrolling past it in 5 seconds. When someone is in that state, that fog, that in-between place where they cannot tell up from down, up and down, up from down anymore, they are not thinking clearly. Their brain is running on fumes. Every decision they make right now is being filtered through exhaustion, through fear, through this constant low hum of, "I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know who I am anymore." Let me repeat that. And when a person is operating from that place, they do things that don't look like them. They say things that don't sound like them. They pull away from the very people that who could actually help them. Because somewhere deep down, there is this voice telling them they are a burden. They are too much. Everyone would honestly be better off if they just disappeared for a while. You have probably heard some version of that from them, haven't you? Maybe not in those exact words. Maybe it came out sideways as a joke that wasn't really a joke, or a text at 2 in the morning that you reread it 3 times, trying to figure out if you were reading too much into it. You are not reading too much into it. Trust that instinct. The one that made you sit up a little straighter, that made you your stomach drop. Yeah, your body knows. Stomach drop just slightly when you read that message. That instinct is not you being dramatic. That's you knowing this person well enough to hear what they are not saying out loud. That silence you are hearing from them right now, it's not absence, it's growth happening behind the scenes. Their souls is calling out to yours, even if their words haven't caught up yet. And I know, there is a version of you right now that's tired, bone tired, because loving somebody through something like this is exhausting in a way that nobody prepares you for. Imagine you are building a bridge across a deep canyon to reach someone you love. You've spent years carrying heavy stones, working through the rain and feeling exhausted. You look down and see how far you've come. But you look ahead and it feels like the other side is still miles away. Yeah, you are tempted to drop your tools and walk away. You're asking yourself, how much longer can I hold on? And I'm here to tell you, you are closer than you think. But what you don't see from your perspective is that the person on the other side has been building their half of the bridge too. If you stop now, you are not just quitting on them. You are quitting exactly one stone away from the moment your hands finally touch. Nobody tells you that showing up for a person in crisis means showing up even on the days they are cold to you. Even on the days they snap at you for no reason and they don't apologize. Even on the days you text, hey, thinking about you, and get left on read for 6 hours, and you sit there staring at your phone, wondering if you should even bother anymore, wondering if maybe you are the problem, wondering if maybe they'd honestly do better without you, circling around them like you're waiting for them to fall apart. That thought is going to cross your mind. It's already crossed your mind, hasn't it? I want you to notice that thought. And I want you to notice it without letting it win. Giving up is the easy way out, but you were not born for easy. Because here's the truth nobody says out loud enough actually. The fact that you are even asking yourself these questions, the fact that you are still here, still watching this video, still thinking about this person right now instead of 100 other things you could be doing, that tells me everything I need to know about you. You are not the kind of person who bails when things get hard. You are the kind of person who stays in the room even when the room gets uncomfortable. And that is rare. That is genuinely actually rare. Most people, the second somebody becomes difficult to love. Difficult to love. They quietly back away. They don't announce it. They just get slower to respond, slower to check in. And eventually, the friendship or their relationship just sort of evaporates. And everybody pretends it was mutual, pretends it just drifted, when really one person needed more and the other person decided they didn't have it all in them to give it. You're not going to be that person. Not today. Not after everything you two have already been through together. Sometimes the universe tests us the hardest, right before the biggest breakthrough. Think about every you've survived to get to this point. Let me paint you a picture, because I think you need to see this clearly instead of just feeling it in some vague, abstract way. Picture your person, whoever they are. Your person sitting alone somewhere right now. Maybe it's late at night and they are laying in bed, staring at the ceiling, phone next to them, scrolling through nothing, just trying to keep their brain busy enough that it stops spinning. Maybe it's the middle of the day and they are sitting in the car, in the parking lot they don't even need to be in, just because sitting in the car alone feels safer than going inside or wherever they're supposed to be. Maybe they are standing in the shower for way longer than they need to, because the water is the only place where nobody's watching them try to hold it together. Wherever they are, whatever they are doing, there is a specific kind of loneliness happening in that moment. And it's not the loneliness of being physically by themselves. It's the loneliness of feeling like nobody could possibly understand what's actually going on inside them. And that loneliness, that specific flavor of it, is one of the most, I want to say, dangerous things a person can carry, because it convinces you that reaching out isn't worth it, that nobody's going to get it anyway. So why even try? Now picture something else. Picture that same person in that same low moment and their phone buzzes. And it's you. Not with a lecture, not with a, hey, you really need to get your life together. Just you. Checking in. Saying something small and human like, hey, I know things have been weird. I'm not going anywhere. Just wanted you to know that. I want you to imagine the physical sensation of that. The tiny loosening in the chest, the breath that comes out a little easier. That's not nothing. That is not a small thing. That text, that 5-second phone call, that, hey, you want to grab food, that is sometimes the exact thing that keeps a person's head above water for one more day. And one more day turns into one more week. And one more week turns into them slowly finding their footing again. You don't see the mechanics of that happening in real time. It's not dramatic. It's not a movie moment. It's quiet and it's slow. And it happens in 1,000 tiny, remarkable, unremarkable moments that add up to a person coming back to themselves. This is why I need you to hear this next part clearly. Don't measure your impact by how much they respond in the moment. I know it's hard. Believe me, I know. I know it feels like you're pouring effort into a person who barely acknowledges it. And some days it's going to feel completely one-sided. And some days you are going to wonder if they even notice you are trying. They notice. Yeah, sure they do. People in that fog, that confused, overwhelmed, don't know which way is up state, they notice more than they can express. They just don't have the energy to perform gratitude the way they normally would. You are not going to get a heartfelt speech in the moment. You might not get one for months, but that doesn't mean it isn't landing. It's landing. It's sitting there quietly, being stored somewhere, becoming part of the reason they eventually make it through this. You're not just waiting, you are preparing for the reunion you've prayed for. I also want to gently say something because I don't want this message to turn into sacrifice yourself completely and never take care of your own needs. Because that's not healthy either. And honestly, it usually backfires. Being there for somebody doesn't mean absorbing every bit of chaos they are going through and pretending you are fine. It doesn't mean answering every single call at every single hour, or letting them treat you badly and calling it understanding what they are going through. There is a difference. Difference between staying present for somebody and losing yourself trying to save them. You can hold both of those at once. You can be steady and consistent and warm toward them. And you can also protect your own peace. Set a few boundaries. Take a breath when you need one, and still come back the next day. You have been the anchor for so long, it's okay to be tired, but don't let go of the rope. Don't. In fact, that's actually what makes you sustainable for them long term. A person who burns themselves out trying to fix somebody else usually ends up resentful or exhausted or both, and that helps nobody. So don't hear this message as give every single piece of yourself away. Hear it as do not disappear on them just because it's uncomfortable. There's something else I want to say because I think it's the part people skip over when they make these kinds of videos. And I don't want to skip it. Being there for somebody doesn't mean you have all the answers. It doesn't mean you're supposed to fix them or talk them out of what they are feeling. Or say the one perfect sentence that magically flips a switch in their head. That's not your job. And honestly, that's not really possible for anybody to do for another person. What actually helps, what really, truly helps a person who's stuck in that confusing, painful place is consistency. Is somebody who keeps showing up even when there is no visible progress. Somebody who doesn't get tired of them, doesn't get frustrated and stop calling doesn't quietly give up and just wait for things to either resolve themselves or fall apart completely. That's what psychology, says. Imagine walking away now, only to find out tomorrow was the day everything changed. If what your person is dealing with is heavier than the two of you can handle on your own, if you are seeing signs that this isn't just a rough patch, but something that might need real professional support, a therapist, a doctor, actual trained help, encouraging them toward that isn't giving up on them. It's not. It's actually one of the most loving things you can do. Being the person who says, I think it might help to talk to someone, and I'll help you to find someone if you want, is not abandoning them. It's making sure they have more than just you standing between them and everything they are carrying. I think about how many stories there are out there of people who made it through the hardest chapters of their lives. And when you actually ask them what got them through it, it's almost never some big dramatic intervention. It's almost always some version of, there was this one person who just never stopped checking on me. A sibling who kept showing up at the door with the food even when they got no response for weeks. A friend who kept sending the same 3 words, still thinking of you, over and over, with the zero expectation of a reply, just so the other person would know the door was still open. A parent, who sat outside a closed bedroom door, not saying anything, just letting their kid know somebody was there. None of that is glamorous. None of that makes for a big cinematic moment, but that is what actually saves people. Quiet, boring, unglamorous consistency. Somebody who refuses to be scared of. And listen, I know part of you is scared. I know part of you has thought, even just for a second, what if I do all this and it doesn't even matter? What if they never come back to who they used to be? What if I'm pouring myself into something that's already lost? I heard that fear. I hear that fear. I'm not going to pretend it's irrational, because loving somebody through a hard season really does come with the risk of pain, of watching them struggle longer than you wish they would. Maybe even watching them make choices you cannot control and cannot stop. But here is what I need you to know. You not knowing the outcome doesn't mean you should stop showing up. Nobody gets a guarantee before they decide to love somebody well. If you quit now, you will always wonder, what if? And what if is a heavy burden to carry. You show up because it's the right thing to do, because that person has shown up for you before, or because you can see underneath all the mess exactly who they are. They really are. And you are not willing to let that version of them get buried without a fight. Think back. I bet if you actually think back, there was a version of this person before all of this started. There is a version that laughed easily, a version that had opinions about dumb things like which pizza place was actually the best one in town, or which movie they defend to death, even though everyone said it was mediocre. A version that texted you memes at midnight for no reason. A version that showed up for you on some hard day of your own, maybe a day you don't even talk about much more anymore. But you remember exactly where you were standing when they said the thing that got you through it. That version of them is not gone. I want you to really hear that. That version is not gone. It's buried under stress, under fear, under whatever confusion or pain they are currently swimming through. But it is still in there. People don't actually become somebody else during hard season. They become a more overwhelmed, more exhausted, more defended versions of themselves. And overwhelmed people come back. Yeah, tired people rest and come back. Confused people, given enough time and enough steady presence around them, eventually find their footing again. Your job, if you can call it a job, actually, though it's really more of a quiet decision you make every single day, is to be one of the reasons they have something solid to come back to. Not the only reason, not the reason that fixes everything. Just one steady, reliable presence in a season where everything else feels like it's shifting under their feet. That is worth more than you know. That is worth more than any perfectly worded piece of advice, more than any lecture about what they should be doing differently, more than any well-meaning intervention where 5 people sit there down and tell them everything that's wrong. Sometimes the most powerful thing in the world is just somebody who doesn't live. I also want to talk about the guilt for a second, guilt. Because I think a lot of you watching this are carrying some. Maybe you feel like you haven't done enough. Maybe there was a moment, a phone call you didn't pick up, a message you meant to send back and forgot. A day you were dealing with your own stuff and didn't check in, and now you are replaying it, wondering if that was the moment that mattered. If that was the crack where things slipped further. I need you to let that go. Let that go right now, as much as you can. I want you to take a deep breath and remember why you started this journey in the first place. You are a human being with your own limits, your own bad days, your own life that doesn't pass just because someone you love is struggling. You are allowed to have missed a call. You are allowed to have needed a break. Loving somebody imperfectly with gaps and mistakes and days where you didn't have much to give is still loving them. It's still showing up. Perfection was never the requirement. Presence is the requirement. And presence doesn't mean flawless. It means I keep coming back. I keep coming back. So here's what I actually want you to do after you watch this. Not a list, no. Not steps, just one simple thing. Reach out to that person today. Not with a big speech, not with a we need to talk, which honestly scares most people off before you even get to the good part. Just something small and human. A text, a call. Showing up at their door with their favorite takeout and no explanation needed. Let them know in whatever way feels natural to you too, that you are not going anywhere, that you see them, even the messy version, even the version that doesn't have it together, even the version that said things or done things that hurt you along the way. Let them know that none of that has changed how much you care. Look at the signs around you. The universe is literally shouting at you to stay the course. Because here's the thing about the title of this video. The thing I promised I'd bring back around to. Don't give up on this person. Not because giving up would make you a bad person. Nobody's judging you for being human and tired. But because somewhere down the road, when this hard season finally lifts, and it will lift, seasons like this always shift eventually. That person is going to look back and remember exactly who stayed. They are going to remember who kept texting even when they didn't answer, who kept showing up even when it wasn't convenient, who refused to let the friendship or the relationship quietly die just because things got difficult for a while. And you have the chance right now, today, to be that person in their story. Not the one who disappeared when it got hard. The one who stayed. So don't give up on them. Not today. Not this week. Not while they are still finding their way back to themselves. Stay steady. Stay warm. Set the boundaries you need to so you can keep showing up without burning out. That's important too. Point them toward real help if they need more than you alone can give. And keep being that quiet, consistent light in their life, even on the days it feels like they don't notice it. They notice. They always notice, even when they cannot say it yet. I believe in you. And I know this connection is worth every single tear you've shed. If this reached you today, it reached you for a reason. You already know who this is about. Stop scrolling and go reach out to them.